Hello, Cool family. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about Barcelona. In this video, we will discuss a massive recruitment coup for Barcelona. But before that, we have other topics that are also very important for our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. Pau Victor, through his quiet work and absolute dedication, has become one of the names that generate the most excitement among Barcelona supporters. Without big headlines, without advertising campaigns or media noise, this young forward has managed to carve out a place in the heart of the club through his effort, humility, and talent. In a football world increasingly marked by immediacy and the desire for instant results, Pau represents that profile of a player who reminds us why we fell in love with this game and why we continue to believe in LAMINE. And it is precisely for this reason that, as a Cool, I find it incomprehensible that the club is seriously considering the possibility of listening to offers for him. It would be a mistake that we could regret for years. His name has been present daily in the team, not by whim, but by merit. He has been consistent in his development, firm in his attitude, and exemplary in his commitment. Although he has not had a continuous role in the first team, every time he has had the opportunity to play, he has shown reliability, determination, and above all, personality. Not all young players are ready to handle the pressure of wearing this jersey, but Pau has done so naturally, with respect, and with that mix of audacity and responsibility that we so appreciate in young players who love the badge. Hansi Flick, an experienced technician in developing young talent, clearly indicated during the last winter transfer window that he wanted to count on him. It was not just a gesture, but a conviction. The German technician appreciated his ability to adapt to different game contexts, his tactical understanding, and his maturity, unusual for his age. That is why he asked the club not to consider any transfer. That is why he insisted that he continue, because he still had much to offer. And Pau, with the temperance of those who have their eyes set on the long term, decided to stay despite the offers on the table. He chose to fight for his dream rather than take the easy way out. However, in recent weeks, we have seen a concerning narrative take hold in the offices, that his departure could be a viable option for next season. Some argue that the arrival of a new forward is being considered, which would further reduce the young player's minutes. And this, combined with the interest from clubs like Betis, Celta, Mallorca, and even Bayern Leverkusen, seems to have opened a door that should never have been opened, that of a possible loan, or worse, a permanent sale. And this is where we must stop and reflect as Barca fans. Do we want to see a talent we nurtured shine elsewhere because we didn't know how to bet on him? Football has a short memory, but the Cool supporter knows that past mistakes must serve to avoid repeating them. We cannot continue to offer talent to the market due to poor management. We cannot continue to train players who end up becoming stars far from the club that saw them grow. Pau has shown he is ready to take on a more significant role and doesn't need to be an undisputed starter. He just needs continuity, trust, and a clear roadmap within the sporting project. He needs to feel that he is part of a plan, that his effort has a reward, and that his future is here, in the stadium where he dreamed of playing since childhood. The interest from Bayern Leverkusen is a reflection of what Pau generates beyond our borders. In Germany, they are closely following his progress, and everything indicates that his profile fits perfectly with the dynamic and offensive football played in the Bundesliga. It is no coincidence that several clubs are willing to bet big on him. It is no coincidence that there is even talk of a favorable environment with the possible arrival of Cesc Fabregas on the bench of the German club. They want young talent, hungry players, and they see in Pau a rough diamond who only needs minutes to shine with his own light. But why should he do it far from home? Why must we be the ones to open the door for others to benefit? Why can't we build around figures like him, who not only have quality but also understand what it means to wear this jersey? Hansi Flick has a golden opportunity to consolidate a sporting project where young players with potential can make the definitive leap, and Pau must be part of it. This is not an emotional request. It is a strategic necessity. In a time when the market is relentless and finances impose limits, there is no better investment than strengthening what we already have. History is full of players who waited for their moment and seized it. Pau Victor has shown he is ready to wait. He has shown discipline, patience, and respect for the coaching staff's decisions. But this wait must have a meaning. We cannot tell him to trust us and then open the exit door for reasons unrelated to his performance. Because if we let him go, others will make him a starter. Others will give him what we couldn't give him here. And when that happens, we will ask ourselves once again, why didn't we see it coming? That is why, as a Cule, I cannot remain silent in the face of this possibility. We cannot give up on Pau. We cannot passively accept the idea that his departure is a reasonable option. Not when the coach himself has bet on him. Not when the player has shown he wants to stay. And not when the club needs rooted, committed players with a deep understanding of the Blaugrana identity more than ever. This is not just about football but also about convictions, decisions that build or destroy the team's future. Dear Cule afición, what do you think? Do you really believe that selling or loaning Pau Victor is a good idea? Don't you feel that we would be closing the door on a player who hasn't had the opportunity to show everything he can give? Don't you think we are facing a decision that can shape the course of the coming years? I invite you to reflect and make your voice heard, because the club is also ours, because LAMINE is the soul of this team, and because Pau Victor represents the best of what we want to be: hard work, passion, humility, and faith in the future. Pau must not leave. Pau must stay and do so with the certainty that this club believes in him as much as he believes in this badge. Let's give him the space to grow, let's give him the trust he deserves, and above all, let's not make the mistake of looking the other way while another club builds its success with one of ours. Because those who truly love this club know that protecting homegrown talent is not an option, it is an obligation. The second piece of news concerns a very important decision for our club. The future of Jonathan is increasingly close to being defined, and as is usual in the European transfer market, last-minute moves can end up tipping the balance towards an unexpected side. In this case, Bayern Munich has accelerated in recent days to secure the incorporation of the German central defender, whose contract with Bayer Leverkusen ends on June 30th and who has become one of the most sought-after free agents on the market. The situation has become particularly complex for Barcelona, which had maintained a principle of agreement with the footballer for weeks, but whose ability to conclude the operation has been hindered by economic limitations and the rigidity of financial control regulations. From a Cule perspective, it is painful to see an opportunity as clear as Jonathan slip away just when it seemed within reach. We are talking about a central defender with experience, leadership, physicality, tactical intelligence, and a track record that has made him a reference in German football. At his age, he has reached footballing maturity and is ready to make the leap to a high-demand project, and he has not hidden it. He views his arrival in Spanish football favorably, values the history and style of play of Barcelona, and was willing to join the team without the need for a transfer fee, something particularly valuable in this delicate context for Blaugrana finances. The question many are asking in the Cule environment is, why hasn't this operation been concluded yet? What is missing to take the definitive step? The answer is complex but also reflects the challenges the club is facing at the moment. Economic control rules have left little room for maneuver, and although there is a willingness from the sports management and Hansi Flick himself, the truth is that without a clear guarantee of registration, any commitment becomes uncertain. But isn't it worth taking a little more risk for a footballer who could stabilize the defense for years? Bayern has detected this indecision and has entered the scene with force. According to reports from German media such as Bild and Sky Sports, the Bavarian entity has already presented a formal proposal to the player, and the conversations are advancing rapidly towards an outcome favorable to the interests of the Munich club. Jonathan has been one of the priority names in the defensive planning of the new technician Vincent Kompany. And Bayern does not want to waste more time facing the risk that Barcelona will regain the initiative. For a club like Bayern, accustomed to acting efficiently in the market, every day counts. And while Barcelona continues to calculate margins and wait for regulatory windows, the Germans offer security, stability, and immediate protagonism. The truth is that, from this Cule perspective, it is becoming increasingly evident that the club cannot afford to lower its arms. We are not talking about a $1 million transfer, nor a risky bet, nor a player without adaptation to the European elite. We are talking about a sensible, strategic, and absolutely coherent incorporation with the current needs of the team. Jonathan would bring hierarchy, experience, reliability in aerial play, strength in individual duels, and an organizational capacity that he has amply demonstrated at Leverkusen. Moreover, he fits perfectly into Hansi Flick's playing philosophy, a technician who values tactical discipline and defensive commitment as fundamental pillars. Losing Jonathan would not simply be another defeat in the market. It would be proof that, despite the good work in talent detection and sports planning, there is still a lack of decision in key moments. It would be recognizing that, although there is an ambitious sports project underway, the current circumstances still painfully condition the possibilities of consolidating it. That is why, now more than ever, it is time to act. If the player has not yet signed with another club, there is a door open, and as long as that door remains ajar, there is hope. The history of Barcelona is full of episodes where insistence, character, and conviction have borne fruit against all odds. This can and should be one of those cases. Because Jonathan is within reach, because he wants to come, because he represents what the team needs, and because his arrival would immediately strengthen the defensive structure. Hansi Flick knows this, he has requested it, he has expressed it internally, and his experience as a German selector gives him a privileged vision to assess the impact that Jonathan can have on any team. Moreover, it is important to emphasize that Jonathan is not only a player who fits technically but also in terms of mentality. He has been captain of Leverkusen on more than one occasion, has been a fundamental piece in the historic season that crowned the club as undefeated Bundesliga champions, and has always shown an exemplary attitude on and off the field. A profile like this is not found every day, and even less so without a transfer cost. In an environment where European clubs fight for every euro, finding top-level talent at zero cost is like discovering an oasis in the middle of the financial desert. And that is what Jonathan represents for Barcelona, an opportunity that goes beyond the economic. It is a structural opportunity. The Cule fans have the right to demand an extra effort. They have the right to believe that this transfer has not yet slipped away and that it is still possible to compete with Bayern if there is will and capacity for reaction. The player is on the radar, the conversations have taken place, and the bases of the agreement were already advanced. All that remains is to take that final step, find the necessary financial balance, and demonstrate that the club remains a relevant actor in the European market. There are decisions that define projects, and this can be one of them. That is why, today more than ever, it is necessary to insist, to raise the voice and say that we cannot let an opportunity like this slip away. What do the Cule supporters think? Don't they believe that Jonathan would be a top-level reinforcement, especially at a time when defensive stability is as important as attacking talent? Doesn't the club deserve an institutional push to conclude a transfer that can make the difference? Time is pressing and Bayern is waiting, but Barcelona must not wait any longer. It is time to act, to compete off the field with the same ambition as on it. Jonathan is there. The story is not yet written. Let's not lower our arms before the time. This transfer can be key to the present and future of the club. It just needs to be truly wanted. The moment is now. The third piece of news concerns a possible major recruitment coup for Barcelona. Barcelona continues to work quietly but with firm steps to strengthen its squad for the future. In recent days, a name has emerged strongly in the offices of Joan Laporta, Tijani Reijnders, the Dutch international who currently shines at Milan. His season has been exceptional, distinguished by his technical quality, tactical intelligence, and ability to control the tempo of the game from midfield. Something that has caught the attention of Hansi Flick, who has already conveyed to the club his strong desire to incorporate the Dutch midfielder as one of the pillars of the new sporting project being built with patience but with ambition. The German technician, who since his arrival has begun to shape a very clear idea of the team he wants to lead, has been categorical in his reports. Tijani is the ideal profile to integrate into the playing scheme he seeks to establish, a scheme based on intelligent possession, high pressing, and absolute control of the game's rhythm. Reijnders, with his technical and mental characteristics, his vision of the game, and his elegance in moving on the field, represents much more than a simple reinforcement. He is a bet for balance, intelligence, and the future. At the club, the departure of one of the current midfield references in the next transfer window is already considered a given. And in the face of this situation, the figure of Reijnders emerges as a structural solution, a guarantee relay, a strategic recruitment aimed at consolidating from the first minute. His adaptation to Italian football has been meteoric, and his impact, both in Serie A and in European competitions, has been highlighted by experts and technicians. It is no coincidence that he is on the radar of several giants on the continent, but the truth is that so far, Barcelona has taken the lead and is emerging as the player's preferred destination. And it is not just an operation driven by the club. Reijnders himself, according to sources close to the player's environment, would be willing to sign a 6-season contract with the Cule team, showing his commitment to the project and his desire to be part of an entity that, despite recent challenges, remains one of the greatest and most respected in the world. The fact that Tijani shows so much predisposition is in itself a victory for the club, which secures not only talent but also long-term commitment and a winning mentality. From a sporting point of view, his arrival would mean an injection of quality and stability in a vital area of the field for the Cule style. Reijnders is a player capable of initiating actions, filtering vertical passes, protecting the ball under pressure, and offering solutions in offensive and defensive transitions. He has a pace of play that harmonizes perfectly with the style that the club has historically defended: touch, control, tactical reading, and progression from the base. He is not a footballer of empty statistics but a game builder, a silent engine that makes the whole team mechanism work. The Catalan club has already initiated formal moves and is willing to make an economic effort, always in line with the sustainable planning promoted from the offices. It would be a significant investment, yes, but very well justified. A footballer who guarantees the present and who, by his age and performances, also projects the future. Furthermore, his personality has been positively evaluated in the reports. Reijnders is a disciplined, serious, committed player, without scandals off the field, with a humble attitude and a great capacity for learning. His profile fits perfectly into the club's environment, and Flick considers his arrival fundamental not only for what he brings on the field but also for what he transmits in the locker room: balance, serenity, professionalism. There is no doubt that the German technician has identified Tijani as a key piece in his idea of football reconstruction, which gives even more weight to the operation. Enthusiasm is also beginning to grow among the sectors of the fan base who already know the footballer. His performances in high-demand matches have been remarkable, and his impact in decisive encounters demonstrates that he does not wilt in the face of big scenarios. His performances with the Dutch national team have been equally convincing, consolidating him as one of the most complete midfielders of his generation. In other words, it is not a risky bet but a full guarantee incorporation, a move that can mark a before and after in the balance and competitiveness of the team in the coming seasons. Moreover, the possible incorporation of Reijnders aligns with the modern vision that Joan Laporta wants for the club: a dynamic, technical, international team, with players ready to face the great challenges of current football. And although in recent years the club has had to face difficult moments from a financial point of view, the bet on Tijani is proof that they continue to think big, that they want to return to the top, and that they are willing to incorporate the best to achieve it. It should not be overlooked that the Dutchman also represents a very flexible tactical solution. He can play as a midfielder, as an interior with a rival, as a link with the offensive line, or even as an organizer when the team needs to adapt to a more reactive rival. His versatility is a virtue highly appreciated by Flick, who has already demonstrated in previous stages that he prefers to have players capable of performing in various positions without affecting the coherence of the system. In this sense, Tijani is a luxury asset, a footballer who can adapt to different tactical variants without losing performance. In conclusion, the interest in Tijani Reijnders is not just a rumor. It is a structured operation, supported by the technical body, endorsed by the president, and well received by a player eager to make the leap to one of the most historic clubs in the world. If the transfer is concluded, Barcelona will take a step forward not only in football quality but also in project coherence, strategic intelligence, and sporting ambition. And now, as usual, we open the debate to the Cule fan base, which has demonstrated to always be by the Badges' side in good and bad times. What do you think of the possible recruitment of Tijani Reijnders? Do you consider him a good bet to strengthen the midfield of the new project led by Hansi Flick? Do you see him as the ideal relay to support the technical quality, balance, and intelligence required at the heart of the team? Does his profile, age, attitude, and style of play excite you? From our point of view, we have no doubt. It would be an excellent incorporation, a step forward, a sign that the club is not only content with the present but also with the future. Leave us your opinion in the comments.